In a world of exploding penguins, one Prinny stands on peg legs. One Prinny struggles to play Mega Man powered up with only his flippers. One Prinny enjoys income as a 24/7 lightning rod. Together, they stand together to face down the forces of boredom together. Welcome to the PrinnyCast episode 14 for December 15, 2012. And this time it's personal. Rated R, coming to a social media site near you.
PrinnyCast with a vengeance?
PrinnyCast harder. What? So welcome to another show. I'm Chris. This is Grover.
Hello.
This is Mike.
Hello.
And as always, we'd like to thank longplays.org for all of their video contributions, for all the stuff that we use from them. This episode, we probably won't need them. Wow. And thanks to galaxypugs.com, where you can find our official forums, as well as where you can also get a hold of Minecraft servers and Unreal servers and all sorts of good stuff, including tournaments. Plus, don't forget Grover's channel with lots of Game of the Week footage practically every day, and lately it's been like 3 or 4 videos a day. The man is going insane. He's got 2 Let's Plays going, one for Don't Starve, one for Minecraft, plus about 2 hours a day of Game of the Week footage.
Yep.
You're nuts.
I'm nuts. It's my job now.
So what have we been playing this week, Mike?
I've been playing, I'm just going to put WoW in there first because it's the boring normal.
Natural.
I did play some Mark of the Ninja, and that game is super fun.
Now, these are the the people that make Don't Starve, and more related to Mark of the Ninja, the Shank series.
It's the same visual style, and it's the same sort of gameplay, but it's more heavily based on stealth.
That's true.
So, yeah, Shank was all about just going in and killing stuff. Other than that, I've still been playing Assassin's Creed 2. I'm trying to do all the little side missions, so it's taking me a lot longer than it probably should to get through the game. A friend at work has got me playing a game on the iPhone called Plague Inc. Now, this game is also available on Android under the name Pandemic. And basically what it is you create a plague, basically, and try to kill off the world with it before they develop a cure.
Oh, I've played
I
that.
think I know this one.
It's surprisingly addictive.
This is the one that's infamous for getting a hold of Madagascar, right?
Yes. Yes. Thousands of times I've failed because of that island.
But yeah, other than that, it's like I said, it's mostly been a lot of World of Warcraft. I'm in the process of leveling my warrior back up to level cap. So it shouldn't take but a couple of days, because it was level cap before this expansion came out, so.
How about you, Grover?
Well, I've been playing a lot of Binding of Isaac since it's the game of the week. I did not expect to beat Mom, or even better, Satan, in this game of the week, but I guess I learned fast because I'm getting pretty good at it. I still make hilarious mistakes and hilarious combinations that result in my death. The game is a blast, and it'll definitely become a Let's Play when the game of the week's over. And I was playing Don't Starve, and that's because I got a Let's Play of it too. That's got so much updated stuff that I'm just still trying to figure out exactly what's going on. It's still kind of bland, but that's because it's alpha and it's not finished yet. I think you can get to about 50 days and you've done about everything you can again. So they're still working on it, and they update it every 12 days, so it's always getting better and better. Then I'm doing Minecraft, which I'm doing the Feed the Beast mod version, and I'm also doing a Let's Play on that, and that is a learning experience constantly. If you watch the videos, you just see me cluster F and myself all the time. So, and then there's I was playing some Kerbal Space Program. I recorded some for Chris too, and that was hilarious. I've never screwed up so catastrophically before, and I did it on video too, so it was great. And
We're probably watching it right now, matter of fact.
And that's it.
The Binding of Isaac thing. The most entertaining part of your playthrough so far is this whole love-hate thing you have going on with the bum.
Bum friend? Yeah, bum friend and me. It's just constant warfare with him, and then if I get angry, I blow him up.
Well, that's probably the best part, and maybe I'm ruining this for people who haven't seen the video yet. The game where he accidentally drug a bomb towards you when you...
He blew me up, too!
Blew you up, and then turned around, and you caused that, what do they call it, the Armageddon thing, where the massive bomb attack everywhere is one of your attacks, and you killed him with it.
Yeah.
Kind of payback.
That was great.
Great.
I'm having a constant love-hate relationship with that guy. If you watch the videos, you will understand quickly.
But yeah, I've been playing the Minecraft Feed the Beast. I've been playing some Binding of Isaac, not nearly as much as Grover's been playing either one of them, but I've been learning things from watching his videos as well as doing my own stuff. I started a little bit on Call of Juarez and Hard Reset. That was 2 of the other games that come with the Polish bundle that I finally got downloaded. Call of Juarez has not aged very well. And I know the second one, it's kind of like Assassin's Creed. The first one was meh, the second one was wow. But anyway, Mike also got me Castle Crashers, so I've gotten about a half hour of that. I'd actually played quite a bit of it before, so it's kind of weird relearning all the controls on a keyboard, because I'm having some trouble with my control pad for some reason. And I also got Velvet Assassin, because it was like $1 over the weekend. But I'm starting to realize why that game that isn't that particularly old, and actually had fairly decent reviews, all things said, got so cheap so fast. I've had it crash 3 times for about 8 minutes of gameplay that I've got in, and this is including the cutscenes. So,
oh my god.
And
Wow.
apparently this is not just a me thing, this is something that's been on the PC version as a problem since day one, and since it came to Steam, it still hasn't been fixed, so it's just this weird crash thing. Now, I have a feeling if it could be windowed, it might fix some of it, but as it stands, oh well. And while these aren't games I played, by any means, I just wanted to mention them because I've found some trailer stuff on them that I'm kind of interesting. Mok Mok is an odd little title that takes something similar to Animal Crossing. Remember the gyroids? The little totem pole looking things that make noises, and if you put a bunch of them together in a room, they kind of make a song.
No.
That was one of my favorite parts of Animal Crossing, and I played it on your system. But anyway, they kind of look like cactuses with faces, and they do this little dance thing, and anyway. This is basically a whole game based on that idea.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
So you've got this whole exploration thing, you team up with other critters, and they're all making music as they go along, and you get into battles with other variations, and I don't know exactly what to make of it, but as a music lover, it looks interesting. And secondly, all I have to say is this. Holy crap, Airmech is a completely remade Herzog Zwei. I'm serious. I've seen a lot of games compared to Herzog Zwei, including Brutal Legends, but all I have to do is spend a minute looking at the footage of this game. This is Herzog Zwei. It is Herzog Zwei. And that's actually got me excited, especially since it's a freebie. You can play this game for free. Download it for free. Go play. I say that, but I've not actually played it yet because I'm an online game. On the plus side, I hear the community is actually really good. They're so used to the League of Legends type community that even newcomers, as long as you don't leave the game, don't rage out, we don't mind. So that's cool.
I think that's the role for all game communities.
It should be, yes. That takes care of what we've been playing. So on to game news. Level 5. Now, these guys are the creator of a lot of quieter but beloved game series like Dark Cloud, Rogue Galaxy, and White Knight Chronicles, and specifically Professor Layton, all you DS users out there are probably really familiar with them, as well as the upcoming US release of Ni no Kuni that I've mentioned before that Studio Ghibli was involved with, or Ghibli as some people call it. But they're in hot water with Sega. See, there's a soccer RPG series made by them for the last several years now called Inazuma 11. It's got like a dozen games across several different platforms, and even an anime series that finished Season 2 and has 3 movies attached to it. And Sega's accusing the company of patent infringement over a Nintendo DS-style mechanic that is used to move the characters around on the field. I kind of scratched my head about this because that sounds like a mechanic that's like, you press the up button, you go up. But I guess it's something really specific. Anyway, this is not a small case to Sega either, as they won a whopping $11 million in damages, and all the DS, 3DS, and as far as I know, it's just the 3DS, DS games, to be halted entirely.
Oh.
So, Square Enix announced the Hitman HD trilogy, featuring Hitman 2, Hitman Contract, and Hitman Blood Money, which will be coming to Xbox 360 and PS3 January 19th in the US and February 1st in Europe and the PAL regions for $40. And Square Enix also released Circle of Mana's Details. Now, they've been talking about this for a while. I actually hadn't heard anything about it. I didn't know there was going to be a sequel since, I think, Children was the last one for the DS. Or was that the PS2 one? Anyway. But as one might expect, it's an iOS social card game. Frowny emoticon. Someday we'll get a nice Secret of Mana sequel. On the plus side, Minecraft Snapshot 12W50A includes the fireworks now have sound. It's actually pretty cool. I haven't played one out.
Oh, fireworks, what?
Yeah, the last snapshot they included fireworks, and they are ridiculously customizable. And now they have sound.
Wow.
So you can...
That's awesome. I did not even know about that. See, Feed the Bees is keep me held back.
Item names are also labeled. They'll flash briefly on the screen as you flick through items in your quick swap bar. New enchantment options, including thorns for armor, so it'll be like the old Diablo thing where when you get attacked by a melee enemy, there's a high chance that they'll take damage in return. And unbreaking on any item with durability as long as you use the enchanted books from last week's update. Basically, armor and shears and stuff like that can now get the unbreaking enchantment. And enchanted books can also be found as trades and as in wild chests. Also, Control allows you to drop full stacks instead of having to go Q to drop your entire stack or to go in your inventory just to drop something out. You can just drop the whole bunch. And lastly,
Sweet.
item drops are now full 3D for all items instead of just the sprites. All items are 3D now. A couple of pop game gurus who were part of the team behind Plants vs. Zombies and also had a part in making Diablo 3 now work for Valve as they start up a new operation in the San Francisco area. Valve's Doug Lombardi mentioned that, and I quote, "This is probably better categorized as Valve hiring 2 new employees instead of an acquisition of a company or opening a Valve San Francisco office." Meanwhile, they've launched the Steam Market to basically join into the nickel and dime DLC trading of mainstream free-to-play MMOs and browser games to let players buy goodies as well as players to trade items between each other for profit.
Is that for Team Fortress 2?
It's starting for Team Fortress 2, but it'll soon be across all sorts of their games.
That's pretty cool. Well, the reason for that, I think, is because they were telling people you can't sell your items. And people were doing it anyways, just like all the other online things. They're going to do it. So they're just like, no, screw it. Let's make a profit from this.
Exactly. Why not? Voice actress Ellen McLean helped make Portal a pop culture icon as GLaDOS, and she reprises the role in a kind of an off-kilter way in Guillermo del Toro's new monster-bashing mecha movie Pacific Rim. Del Toro has mentioned he's a big fan of Valve, and the inclusion was not a coincidence. And speaking of voice actors, there's been a huge controversy in gaming lately, and really geekdom entirely in the last couple of months over sexism. Now, we've been kind of avoiding this on the show largely because it is not only a polarized issue, it's really misinformed in a lot of ways. Between comments made by both names in comic book and video game industries, it's kind of exploded really heavily. Some of which is horribly misinterpreted, others sadly true against both genders, and others are just ridiculous hype machines meant to inflame or to constructively alter the system, but what else is new? I don't really want to jump into it as I have my own soapbox on the matter, but the latest is Unnamed Forces told Naughty Dog that they did not want to see the teen female co-hero Ellie side by side with the main character Joe on the cover of the undoubtedly blockbuster slated The Last of Us for PS3 coming out next year. Now, these are the guys who's made Uncharted and had a lot of success from it. Naughty Dog creator-director Neil Druckmann and Ellie's voice actress Ashley Johnson made statements at VG 24/7. Quote, "I believe there's a misconception that if you put a girl or a woman on the cover, the game will sell less. I know I've been in discussions where we've been asked to push Ellie back into the back, where everyone at Naughty Dog just flat out refused." Now
I don't know. That's
That
weird.
sounds silly.
it is silly, but I can also see where it's kind of true. More often than not, if you do not have something, quote, really cool on the cover, a game sells less. And while this isn't exactly this is one of the reasons why I've kind of avoided this topic. More or less, if the female is not big-breasted, hardly wearing any clothes, they don't want her on the cover, because sex sells. At the same time, they don't want a female character overshadowing a Space Marine superhero-type character either. So, it's
Yeah, Mr. Rand says hello.
there's a lot of... I don't know, I've never had a problem with this. Maybe it's because I've been too much into the Japanese society where a lot of their games have female lead characters.
Yeah.
And they can be cutesy, they can be butch, and it doesn't bother me at all.
It could be Etna.
I think... Oh, yeah. Hi.
Yeah,
Hi.
there you go.
Hi. But you don't have to have these stereotypes. And I think pressing into this, like this whole sexism subject has over the last couple of months, is making it worse, not better. There is sexism on both sides. I don't care what the female population says. There is a ton of sexism against males in not only our society, but in video games.
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, I see the other side. This is not a one-sided argument here. But I'm just saying that everybody has a point. Anyway, let's get off the soapbox. And on to some sad news. Trion Worlds, the developer behind Rift, and Petroglyph, the developer behind End of Nations, have both let quite a few people go over the last couple of weeks. And what are the former Bungie guys up to? Non sequitur? Industrial Toys, as they're now called, announced Morningstar that will be a full-scale FPS monster built specifically for the iOS. Built on Unreal Engine using touch-based controls, it doesn't stray too far from the Halo formula with some very familiar alien styles. It's a great style, it's just, I can already see that people are going to say, let's be a little more original here.
Be a little less like Halo.
No. But now here's some good news. Secret World has gone, perhaps not so unexpectedly, free to play. And this actually interests me a lot because it was really the first MMO since City of Heroes to draw my attention, with its lean on story and attempted atmosphere over the more grindy or gaming aspects of just about everybody else in the world does. You still have to buy the game, which is running about $30, but if you buy it before the new year, you get the Initiate DLC for free, and like most free-to-play MMOs, you can hit the membership option for free in-game goodies, faster experience gain, and other discounts. And seriously, that is all the news, so it's up to you guys for anything left.
I got one thing. Just one. It's a Kickstarter thing, as always. Notch apparently guaranteed the success of a Kickstarter game called Sports Friends. Minecraft creator Marcus Notch person contributed $8,000 to the Sports Friends Kickstarter campaign. His original pledge was $5,000, but the suspense was killing him, so he decided to increase his giving. The Sports Friends Kickstarter campaign ends at... Oh, it's over. It's over. So, just reached his $150,000 target this morning. Okay, so wow, he did save them. Sports Friend is a 4-pack of local multiplayer games for PlayStation 3, PC, Mac, and from 4 independent developers. The games included are John Han Sebastian Jost, Barra Ball, Super Pole Rider, and Hakra. Each game is currently playable in prototype form, but the funding will be used to complete and release them. They stated publishers aren't interested in local multiplayer-only games, so that's where you come in. Reads the line on their Kickstarter. At the end of the Kickstarter, they had made $153,551 and had about 3,700 backers, and that's all I got.
Now, game releases. And this is going to be kind of a sad list, but maybe there's something in here somebody will care about. I'm not going by date, I'm just going to name them off. Labyrinth Legends for PS3, Jakers Let's Explore for Wii, Jet Tailfin Racers for Wii U, WWE WrestleFest for Xbox Live, Pro Evolution Soccer 2013 3D for 3DS, that's a mouthful. Everyone Sing for 360, PS3, and Wii. Wario Land 2, which I guess is the bigger of the stories here for 3DS, if that's not the original Wario Land 2. NBA 2K12 for Wii U. Victropolis for the PC, and I could have sworn I mentioned this last week, but BioShock Ultimate Rapture Edition for 360 and PS3, so maybe it got bumped a week, or maybe somebody was listing it wrong, I'm not sure what happened. And Toki Tori 2 for PC and Wii U eShop, which Mike got Toki Tori 1, I think, 2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm. It was like 50 cents.
So, Game of the Week, but you've already mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. Our game of the week is Kerbal Space Program. Now, this is not going to be for a lot of people. In fact, this is a pretty niche game style, nerdgasm type game. So, if you don't like this game, it's alright. But the game is pretty hilarious for some of the things it does. Kerbal Space Program is an alpha stage sandbox style flight simulator game, currently in development for Windows and Mac operating systems. Players assume the role of commanding many aspects of the Kerbal Space Agency, including planning missions, rocket design, space navigation, and piloting. Kerbal Program supports game mods crazily and has an active modding community that does absurd stuff. And the modding community is so advanced now that the developers of the game are bringing in the mods as developers themselves and adding their stuff to the game. So there's just docking and stuff was added because of the modders. The game allows the player to build and pilot a space vehicle made out of prefabricated models, also referred as parts or junk in the game because, a lot of it's found on the side of the road, it says. Such as liquid fuel engine, fuel tanks, solid fuel tanks, landing gear, wings, and steering fins, which you need or you'll never get your ship in the air ever. Additional parts such as payload fairlings, wheeled rotors, and weapons have been added to the game by players. Like I said, mod. Players can also control the characters piloting the vehicle called Kerbals by going on EBAs and going outside of the ship, and eventually you'll be fixing stuff and all that wonderful stuff. The vehicles are created, monitored, and launched from the Kerbal Space Center on the planet Kerbin. The center includes a launch pad, vehicle assembly building, runway, space plane hangar, and tracking station. This game is crazy technical. This game is, this game has an absurd learning curve. You could sit there and stare at the rocket stuff, and if you don't know what you're doing, you'll never get it in the air. As Chris saw many videos ago where he made a rocket and couldn't get it off the launch pad.
Yep. Now
we're gonna go crazy with it because I love this game. I mean, I can't explain how massive it is. I mean, most of it's just space, but the fact that it tracks multiple things in space, as well as getting up into the planet and orbits and the moons, it's just absurd. And you have to start using calculus and geometry and everything to figure out how the hell you're going to get to another planet. And it's quite hard. There are many times that I've tried to get to another planet and I failed miserably. I missed a planet and my ship was its people just end up floating up into space and dying. Starvation and no oxygen. And, yeah, there's not really much more I can say. You have to really watch to learn more about it. The game is still in alpha, and, you know, I didn't mention who made it. Well, Squad made it. Squad are the ones that developed it. I believe right now it's $20, and, you know, that might be a little expensive for alpha, but the game's very well worth it.
And it does have a free demo version for people to want to play it. That's how
Yes, it does. It does have a free demo version, but that's very outdated. But it gives you what the game is like.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It doesn't give you hardly any parts whatsoever, but it should be enough to at least get your rocket airborne, unless you're me.
Unless you're Chris. The only issue I have with the game is that it has this wonky sound bug that makes everything crazy loud. I think I have my sound and music at 10% and it's still overpowering. I don't know, man. It's absurd. But anyways, that's the game of the week.
So our topic for today is something we've handed on like 3 different episodes, including last week. Game movies. Now these are movies made specifically off of video games. There has been quite a few, and probably more than people actually realize. But to really start it off here, there was a video game movie before the first real video game movie. Matter of fact, there was a couple of them. But basically, back in 1982, Walt Disney made Tron. And this was largely about a programmer getting pulled into his creation. It had a side-by-side development with a Tron arcade game. So that's why it's kind of that gray area of exactly where it fits in there. It was live action with a lot of crazy visual effects that had never been seen before.
I remember that they said that it couldn't be nominated for Emmys because it cheated by using CGI. If only they knew.
But yeah, that was technically the first one, and it was rather successful. But it wasn't the last one. I could go into a whole bunch of other movies that have gone on to do this kind of thing. There's been horror movies, there's been comedies, there's been all sorts of stuff that had video game related stuff in it. But I think the 2 I should point out the most is The Last Starfighter, about a trailer kid who plays video games, and this particular arcade game he sets a high score on, and come to find out it's an intergalactic testing to find pilots to help defend the frontier against Zura and the Codon Armada.
Yeah.
I just want to say that this was one of my favorite movies as a kid, and I actually now own it on Blu-ray.
Oh, it's on Blu-ray?
Yes.
About time. There's too many people that do not know about this movie, and what's funny is, yes, there is an NES game based on it. But anyway, it was some of the really early CGI stuff, and real honest-to-goodness CGI stuff. So it looks horribly dated, but it's still a great movie. And the other major one I have to mention has to be The Wizard. Largely because we've talked about it before because of the Power Glove. And that's one with Fred Savage and people. I can't think of the name of Christian Slater. Anyway.
Fred Savage and those other dudes.
But about the kid who takes his brother cross-country to enter into a video game tournament that's supposed to help save their family. It was goofy, it was stupid, but everybody loved it.
Wasn't the brother autistic?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember.
And it was also the first unveiling anywhere for Super Mario Bros. 3.
I know. I remember seeing that movie and seeing Super Mario 3 and freaking out.
But as far as I know, the first really, really real video game movie was the Super Mario Bros. In 1993. And what can you say about this movie? It was an experiment, I think. And it's an experiment that failed so badly, you have noticed that there has not been a Nintendo-related movie since.
Yes.
They took a lot of liberties, and yet told the story at the same time.
The movie is so wacky. All the characters are there, kinda.
It's
But
not.
other than that, I mean, the movie itself, it's alright. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
But what does this have to do with Super Mario series?
It seemed like it was one of those, we don't know how to spin this story because we were on mushrooms literally when we made this game. So let's try to science it out real quick.
Well, even if you were to consider it like an animated movie, it would be a really tough one to do because the characters are so flat. And I don't mean that as a pixel pun. They're really one-dimensional characters. Now, Mario has kind of expanded himself over the years, and Bowser's actually had some interesting moments. But for the most part, these are characters that have not really explored story very much at all. They've never really spoken too much. You've got Paper Mario, you've got Mario and Luigi sagas, and you've got the Super Mario RPG, and that's really the only time they really had much of a story. And they were really simplified.
And even then, Mario never spoke.
Yeah, Mario is one of those things that is better suited to do a Saturday morning cartoon, which they did do, and it was fairly successful.
They did more than once.
Super Mario Brothers was actually fairly successful in the movies when you consider it, but I think it was also kind of a sign of the times. There was a lot of weird movies like this.
Yeah. Every time I think about that movie, there's a part that cracks me up when they're called Koopa and they're like, "Sir, the Goombas are dancing again."
There's some good moments in the movie, but there's some
great moments in that movie.
I think they would have done better if they had made a Zelda movie instead. If they wanted a realistic movie, they should have picked one of their realistic properties.
That's part of the problem, and it's something you've seen in... matter of fact, we'll probably get into that more, but most of the early video game movies were made for kids, even if they had a darker edge to them. And you have to admit, Super Mario Brothers had some darker edges, more adult themes stuck in there.
Yes.
But for the most part, it was a really dumbed-down, kiddified movie with a lot of dialogue that was obviously written for Saturday morning cartoons. So to segue into that, we have two movies that came out practically at the same time. These are two other disasters that I'm not exactly sure how to get into. First was 1994's live-action Double Dragon movie, starring a very young Scott Wolf and a very young Mark Dacascos, a really kiddified version of... Actually, there was a cartoon series that I think took a lot from the movie. They take the entire concept of two dudes cleaning up the streets by beating them all down, basically, while trying to save their girlfriend, and spin it around so the girlfriend isn't helpless. She's part of a freedom fighter group against a post-apocalyptic setting where the bad guy has taken over the world, more or less, and united gangs under his control to put the whole world into fear. Matter of fact, some of the plot might even remind you of a recent Batman movie in some respects.
I never watched it.
It was goofy, it was campy, it was actually somewhat enjoyable because, once again, it's a video game that didn't really have much of a story, so they could invent a lot, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff they could have done that they didn't, and they took things really far when they didn't need to, so it's almost Super Mario Brothers all over again. I mean, even down to the really kiddified dialogue. They try to be serious, there's some adult moments in it, there's some actually pretty impressive special effects as far as the prosthetics and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's still another goofy movie. And so, a month later, you have probably the biggest, most well-known of the early video game movies, and that's the Street Fighter movie. It was star-packed. I mean, even a lot of the people that weren't really well-known then are even bigger stars now. And it was also Raul Julia's last film, coming right off of the second Addams Family movie to do this. And it was even done by the guy who did the Die Hard movie. So it sounded, in theory, this was going to be a fantastic movie. So everybody was excited. Von Damme as Guile, you know? And we all watched it. It was like, it's almost there, but what the heck am I watching? Now, the difference here, Street Fighter actually, for all its ridiculousness, does have a plot. And in some ways, they actually contributed some of it into the movie, but apparently they didn't think it was enough, so they made it more of this costume fest of people involved in a whole peacekeeping action against a tyrant rather than what the story was supposed to be about, around a fighting tournament.
Yeah.
Once again, it's got a lot of great moments. It's got a lot of fan nods, but for the most part, it's another goofy take with a lot of budget, a lot of sets, a lot of really stilted, stupid dialogue, and yet a lot of adult moments. And still, I do not know what kind of audience they were hoping for.
I think they were mostly aiming at kids still, is what the thing was going on. I mean, they still are now, but they try to aim at other audience. Back then, they were just like, we could do something stupid and get a lot of kids. So, well, not even to them, it wasn't stupid at all, but to us, it's like, what the hell were you thinking?
I feel like I should be talking about each one of these more, but I think we're filling time well enough. But that's something else to mention. I'm not so sure about Double Dragon, but at least in the case of Super Mario Brothers and Street Fighter, they were closely worked with by the companies that made the game. So this is not one of those, like the writer sells their story to somebody and they rework it with the teleplays and everything, and then they ruin it and they associate them. Matter of fact, the character Kinya Sawada was put in there by Capcom for the case of when they made their video game based off of it to fight against Mortal Kombat's popularity with the digitized characters, because for some weird reason they thought that's why Mortal Kombat was successful. And it still turned out like this. They had so much creative freedom, and they still let it turn out like this. And Nintendo did the same thing with theirs.
It makes no sense. It really makes no sense why they were doing it.
I guess I should go ahead and get into Paul W.S. Anderson. He's more familiar for other things now, but back here, he made Mortal Kombat. Now, up till this point, the game movies were successful, but they were kind of laughed at by critics and hardcore gamers alike. The kids kind of dug them, but Mortal Kombat kind of changed a lot of that. It actually stuck to the story closer. I mean, it's still
Mortal Kombat was awesome.
A lot of the stunt work was stunt work we weren't really used to over here. It was a more Hong Kong philosophy of sometimes people get hurt in stunts. It happens. Or over here we go out of our way to protect people. That is the whole reason why they had to replace their Sonya Blade actress. Cameron Diaz was supposed to be Sonya Blade, but she broke her wrist during some training prior to shooting, and they had to get a replacement.
That sucked.
Now, one of the best parts, and I think most people will agree with me, is what they did with Raiden. They did not make him a really serious, raw kind of character. They had Christopher Lambert from the Highlander series playing this really jovial, sarcastic kind of Raiden, and it was perfect.
Yeah, I liked it because of that. He's awesome.
All of the best lines in the movie are his.
Pretty much. I enjoyed the movie. I did. I got them on DVDs when they came out, but they're both out on Blu-ray by now, and I haven't converted over to those yet. But they're fairly cheap.
I'm a little older now, so they haven't aged quite as well as I remember them originally. But yeah, what was interesting here is Johnny Cage was originally supposed to be played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, too, but he turned down the role to play for Street Fighter. And it says here that Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp, and Gary Daniels were also considered for the role. And Brandon Lee was originally cast, but he died during the accident while filming The Crow. So Lyndon Ashby, whose biggest movie was pretty much 8 Seconds, he's always played cowboy characters. Matter of fact, a lot of these people we'll be talking about today tend to show up a lot in these movies, him being one of them. But his success on the Mortal Kombat series, he actually had a brief run on a TV series that was a spy action drama. And then, of course, Kiryu Tagawa, who played Shang Tsung. He did a really good job. A lot of people think he played it over the top and campy, but I think he was perfect. Because one thing a lot of people keep forgetting is Mortal Kombat was originally a parodied farce of all the chop-socky mystical kung fu movies of the 60s and 70s, which is the very stuff that, like, Kill Bill and the man with the Iron Fist is making fun of. Or homaging is, rather. But they were taking that from the same scope. So when Mortal Kombat kind of got serious, even while they're doing stuff like cooking with Scorpion, yeah.
I never saw the cooking with Scorpion stuff.
I didn't either.
This week on Cooking with Scorpion, learn about chopping, tenderizing, chopping, cake decorating, and chopping.